All right, so I'm out in Malibu Canyon with Araya here, and we're setting up. We're going to be doing some 24 by 30 inch canvases today. We're both going to paint this scene right here. What are you thinking, Araya, as far as those background mountains? Are you going to lighten the value of those?
I'm going to have to, yeah. I find it's hard to get a lot of separation in the greens, especially when they're graying out, unless you push it a little bit.
It seems like those background mountains are almost as dark as the trees, and I kind of want the trees and their shadows to be the darkest part of the painting. All right, so I'm just going to quickly get some lines onto the canvas here. I'm standing back quite a ways and just get the big shapes first.
Oh, not done.
Not done, just starting. We'll see you on the way back.
Even though the canvas is bigger, the process is exactly the same. Just start with simple shapes and then become more specific with those shapes. And I'm thinking that actually in a lot of ways painting on this larger canvas is going to be easier in a way because there's just so much more room to work. And I'm setting up, I'm in front of Araya here, so I can call back to Araya. How's it look, Araya, from back there?
Looking good.
Is it? Okay, good. Canvas this size, you really got to get back quite a ways to kind of tell if it's working. All right, now that the big shapes are in place, I'm getting a little bit more specific with the shapes, and the weather is absolutely perfect today. There's a nice breeze here in the shade. I have a feeling it's going to get to be pretty hot. Hopefully we will not lose our shade. I think this comes up a little bit higher. It drops off like that. This comes out a little bit further. All right, these dark oaks right here are kind of a focal point. So I want to make sure that I get these shapes blocked in quickly because I think that I'm going to lose the shadows. Most of the rest of the scene is going to be fairly stable as far as lighting goes. All right, there's a smaller oak right here, and then a few in the distance. And then this bit of land right here kind of comes up like this. It's a very delicate separation. There's not a strong separation between these two colors, but there are a few trees out here. An oak right there. Maybe another one just at the edge, something like that. All right, so it looks like you got your sketch going here, and you're sketching with alizarin crimson, is it?
Yeah, since there's so much green, I'm trying to sketch with red, so.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I want the river to be really prominent in the painting, and like you said, gray out those mountains. I'm probably gonna tackle that first and then move down into the shadows of the trees, like you said, before we lose the light. But for me, it's kind of like about the color of the river. So you're gonna modify the drawing a little bit?
I'm feeling like these trees are just a little bit too close to the center. I want to kind of bump them up a bit. I like the shape and the placement, but I want them just a little bit higher. So they're up here.
That does help, it looks better.
You know, and then that opens up, there's like a kind of a sloped hill like this. So that'll give me a little bit more room to work with the shadows on this sloped hill.
The drawing can look chaotic, but it's good to make these adjustments before we start putting in color.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I have to be excited about the arrangement, and if I'm not, I need to be honest with myself and make those changes, because it is not going to get better from here if I don't. All right, so at this point, I get back about 10 or 15 feet. I'm just looking at the big shapes. I do feel good about the composition, so I'm going to start blocking in the darks. Again, trying to capture the shadow shapes before they disappear. I can see there's already a bit more light on these trees. So this whole pattern in here is what I want to capture first. And I'm using a mixture of ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow medium, and a little bit of burnt sienna that I'm picking up from the canvas. And as usual, I'm squinting when looking at the scene in order to simplify the shapes and eliminate detail. And I've taken off my glasses as well, which sort of, it's like a forced squint in a way. All right, so I'm liking those shapes, and I do like that they're placed a little bit higher. All right, I've decided to bring this peak up a little bit higher, so there's more of a difference between this peak here and this one here.
What are you mixing?
All right, so I've got some ultramarine, titanium white, a bit of burnt sienna, and a little bit of cadmium yellow medium, going with a mid-tone gray here, and I'll start with that. It's too dark.
It's weird how light those distant mountains are.
Yeah, I don't know, like, do you have that happen where you mix your colors for your distant objects too dark?
Every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I already feel like that's just still. I mean, I'm looking at the contrast between these trees and the distant hills, and I think that kind of works, but I might be able to go even lighter, but this will be a good starting point. And I'm using a number 8 natural bristle flat just to scrub this in as quickly as possible.
Covering some ground there.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there goes my hat. I'm gonna need this when that sun comes out. All right, so I've added a bit more titanium white and ultramarine for this portion here. And the wind is picking up. And then even more ultramarine over here. There's not that big of a value separation between these shapes, but there is a color separation. There's kind of a bank that comes down, and then there's like a trail. I don't know if I'll include that. Probably not. There's quite a bit of variation in these greens, but for now, just reducing the scene into simple shapes, approximating the colors as best I can. Maybe add some of that green color over here. Okay, so it's starting to shape up. All right, so you got your dark shapes blocked in as well. That's looking good.
Thank you, sir.
That's gonna be fun working with that river there.
I didn't want these shadows to be too dominant. I wanted to be there somewhere to rest your eye, so that's kind of why I went with the big river.
Will you have more water like back here?
A little bit.
Just a touch of it?
Right here.
Yeah.
And then have this be the main reflective area.
Yeah. Okay. Bit of the shoreline right here. And I kind of like how this bit of shoreline comes out and creates an irregular shape for the river. Is this a river, Araya? Is it, or a Malibu Creek?
Yeah, Malibu Creek.
Malibu Creek. Flowing like a river because of all the rain we've had this winter. All right, now that I've got the reflection shapes more or less in place, I'm going to build them up using vertical strokes and kind of keeping the mix transparent. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I find that when I'm painting reflections, it really works to keep the mix somewhat transparent. I'm also paying attention to what is being reflected. This dark tree here is being reflected. And then this is shoreline here, so obviously no reflections there. And then this tree, there's just a bit of reflection here. Just the top of it, something like that. All right, I got a mixture of titanium white and some of Araya's High Dollar Ultramarine Blue Deep by Rembrandt. I feel bad, I actually grayed it down a little bit of with a touch of burnt sienna. Kind of want to, I probably should save it for when I want to go full power. Try to keep these edges on the reflection soft. I think this value might be a little bit too dark, but we'll see. It seems like the color of the water gets darker the closer it is to you. Do you notice that too?
Yes.
And then as it goes off in the distance, it gets lighter, which I guess makes sense. It's kind of reflecting the lighter portions above the mountains. So I added a bit more titanium white for this portion. One thing I like about painting on canvas is that it's easier to get a soft edge. Noticing that this sand here has quite a bit of red in it. So I mixed up a yellow ochreish color and then added some alizarin crimson to the mix. And actually out here the sand is a little bit brighter, and there's some rocks. Still using this number 8. Seems to be the right size for the job. All right, there's some darker bits at the top of the mountain where it meets the sky. Again, squinting at the scene, trying to simplify the shapes and look for some variation within this shape here, but I don't want to break up this overall shape too much. So I'm trying to keep the value, you know, the difference in values fairly narrow. Just using vertical strokes here. It gets darker down in this area. There's some light portions on the top of these trees, so by darkening this a bit, it'll make the light on the trees stand out. So I started using a number 6 natural bristle flat, but I feel like it was just getting a little too careful. So I've got a number 8 here, trying to recapture some energy. So it looks like you got it mostly covered at this point. So what are you working on now? Just kind of refining things?
Oh, yeah, I'm refining the water. I always leave some random white areas that I, for some reason, don't want to deal with. I'm going to put some highlights on the tops of the trees to round them off and finish the water and crisp up the bank with some rocks and then fill it up.
And it looks like you got the palette knife out right now too.
Yeah. Desperation. Desperate times.
Hey, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I've been playing around with these shapes in the background here, kind of lighten them up a bit. It went down.
I wanted abstraction.
I mean, I don't hate it. No, actually, you could get that off. It looks like your palette fell directly on there.
Yeah.
What's going on with us, dude? 2 days in a row. It's crazy.
You failed me, bro.
Uh,
No, it's all good. I could probably fix it.
okay, so Araya recovered. Look at this. Looking good. All right, so here's what I finished up with. I think we painted for about 3 hours, but the painting was completed on site. There are a few changes I'm thinking about making. Number 1, I might eliminate this white water in here and have it be a slightly darker blue. And then I've also been thinking about increasing the size of a few of these oaks over here to the right. As usual, I'll live with the painting for a while before making any changes. All right, well, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to see some extra videos and help support the channel, there's a Patreon link down below. It's the Patreon support that helps keep me making these videos, and it's much appreciated. I'll also put a link down below to Araya's Instagram, so check it out. Other than that, stay creative. See you guys in the next video.